The Pope is the spiritual leader of over 1 billion Catholics, but his lifestyle might surprise you. From priceless art to custom vehicles and lavish estates, it's a world far from ordinary. This isn't just religion, it's power, wealth, and influence on a global scale. The power behind the papal throne. The Pope isn't just a spiritual leader. He's also the absolute monarch of a country. Yep, the Vatican City. Smallest country in the world? Sure. But small doesn't mean powerless. It's got its bank, laws, and even its army, the Swiss Guard. You see those colorful, medieval-looking uniforms? Those guys are trained killers. The Vatican is home to just over 800 people, but it commands a network of over 1.3 billion Catholics worldwide, more than the entire population of China. And where there's influence, there's money. Tons of it. While the Pope personally doesn't own these riches, as the head of the Catholic Church and the Vatican City-State, he has symbolic access to billions in wealth, priceless artifacts, land, and assets. And that makes his lifestyle, well, let's just say it's far from ordinary. So, how did this religious leader come to live in what some call the world's richest neighborhood? Stick around. We're about to get deep into the gold-trimmed corridors of power, luxury, and a bit of controversy. The real estate empire. According to reports, the Vatican holds over 5,000 properties worldwide. That includes luxury buildings in Paris, London, Geneva, and even Rome's most expensive neighborhoods. And we're not talking about humble housing. We're talking multi-million-dollar buildings, entire apartment blocks, and even old palaces converted into revenue-generating machines. In 2021, it was revealed that the Vatican spent hundreds of millions on London real estate, including a lavish building in Chelsea worth around $400 million. It became a huge scandal when it was found that church donations, yes, donations from everyday Catholics, may have helped fund the deal. But that's just one part of the empire. The Vatican also owns farmland in Australia, stocks in pharmaceutical and oil companies, and even luxury hotels in Rome. One of the most iconic is the Domus Sanctae Marthae, a 5-story guest house where Pope Francis himself lives. Now, Pope Francis has often said he prefers modest surroundings, and compared to the Apostolic Palace, that's true. But let's be honest, if your home has Swiss guards, a chef, private gardens, and bulletproof windows, it's still living like royalty. So while the Pope might not have a personal mansion in Malibu, the church he leads owns more real estate than most royal families combined. Art, gold, and treasures. Step inside the Vatican Museums and you're stepping into a treasure chest. We're talking about art and relics so valuable they make billionaire art collectors look like amateurs. Let's start with the obvious, the Sistine Chapel ceiling by Michelangelo. Worth? Technically, priceless. But experts estimate it would cost billions to even attempt replication. That's just one ceiling. Then there's Raphael's rooms, Botticelli masterpieces, ancient Egyptian mummies, gold-plated papal thrones, jewel-encrusted chalices, and tapestries that are centuries old. Oh, and let's not forget the Vatican Library, which holds over 1.1 million books, some dating back over 1,500 years. If the Vatican ever decided to have a garage sale, which, let's be real, will never happen, they could wipe out world hunger several times over. But it gets even more fascinating. The Vatican Bank, officially called the Institute for the Works of Religion, IOR, holds assets worth over $5 billion, and that's just what's public. It operates almost like a private bank for the Catholic elite, complete with secret accounts and offshore operations. Over the years, it's been linked to money laundering, shady transactions, and even mafia connections. No kidding. And let's not overlook the actual gold. According to estimates, the Vatican owns tons of gold reserves stored in Swiss banks and Fort Knox. Some insiders believe their gold holdings could exceed $50 billion, depending on the source. So while Pope Francis may wear a simple white robe and carry a wooden cross, the treasures beneath his feet could rival the wealth of empires, literally. The Pope's modest wardrobe and accessories. Let's talk fashion, but not Prada. That rumor about the Pope wearing red Prada shoes, false. But don't think for a second that the papal wardrobe is just some thrift shop haul. Everything the Pope wears is tailor-made by Gammarelli, a high-end Roman tailor who's been dressing popes for centuries. The fabrics, silk, wool, and some of the finest materials on earth. Even his simple white cassock can cost over $2,000. Then there's the fisherman's ring, a golden ring engraved with St. Peter's image. Each pope gets his own, and it's destroyed when he dies. Talk about exclusive. And the papal regalia. That includes gold-threaded mitres, custom robes embroidered with precious stones, and ceremonial staffs made of silver and ivory. While Pope Francis often opts for simpler versions, the wardrobe vault still houses garments that look like they came straight from a Game of Thrones episode. Even the papal car has changed over time. While previous popes used Mercedes-Benz limousines, Francis is often seen riding in a Fiat, or even a used Renault gifted by a priest. Sounds humble, right? But let's not forget that any pope has access to a fleet of armored luxury cars, private jets when traveling, and a top-tier security detail that makes Hollywood celebrities jealous. So even if the Pope chooses to live modestly, the Vatican's closet is anything but low budget. Vatican Bank and secret wealth. We've hinted at it earlier, but now let's zoom in on the Vatican Bank, arguably the most mysterious financial institution in the world. Officially named the Institute for the Works of Religion, it was set up to manage assets intended for religious or charitable purposes. Noble, right? But here's the catch. For decades, the bank operated in near total secrecy. No audits, no transparency, and no real oversight. In the 1980s, it was rocked by the Banco Ambrosiano scandal, where millions vanished. A banker was found dead hanging from a bridge, and whispers of mafia involvement swirled around the Vatican like incense. Today, the bank says it's cleaned up its act. It publishes annual reports and claims to follow international banking standards. But many believe that hidden wealth, secret accounts, and political influence still lurk beneath the surface. And while the Pope technically doesn't dip into these funds for personal use, he oversees the entire operation as the head of Vatican governance. That means he has immense influence over billions in assets. It's like being the chairman of a bank that answers to no one but God. Then there's the Pence Fund, a global collection supposedly for charity. But multiple investigations have shown large portions being used for real estate deals and even Hollywood film investments. Yep, church donations are funding movies. So, is the Vatican Bank just misunderstood? Or is it the financial fortress of the world's most powerful religious empire? Either way, it's one of the main reasons the Pope's lifestyle is often compared to that of billionaires. Controversies and criticism. Now, not everything about the Pope's billionaire lifestyle is gold and glory. With great wealth comes great scrutiny, and the Vatican has had its fair share of scandals. Let's start with transparency. Critics argue that for a religious institution preaching humility and charity, the Vatican holds on to a shocking amount of money. Why not sell a few treasures and help the poor? Why are there luxury apartments in London while churches in Africa struggle for electricity? Then there's the lavish spending by certain church officials. Remember the Bishop of Bling? He spent over $40 million renovating his home in Germany, including a $20,000 bathtub. When the story broke, Pope Francis eventually suspended him, but the damage was done. Even the Vatican's employees have spoken out. In 2012, leaked documents revealed financial corruption, internal power struggles, and wasteful spending inside the Holy See. The leaks were so damaging they were dubbed the Vatileaks scandal. More recently, in 2020, Cardinal Giovanni Angelo Becciu was fired over shady property deals and alleged embezzlement. In 2021, the Vatican held a criminal trial, a rare public spectacle, accusing top officials of financial crimes. So, is the Pope personally responsible? Not exactly. But when you're the leader of an organization that controls billions and holds treasures beyond belief, people expect accountability. Despite Pope Francis's efforts to reform and promote simplicity, the opulence, the scandals, and the bank vaults keep reminding the world. The Vatican isn't just a church, it's a global empire. So, what does all this tell us? The Pope may present himself as a humble servant of God, and in many ways he genuinely tries to live that out. But behind the robes and blessings lies a network of power, wealth, and influence that rivals the richest billionaires on earth. He lives in a city of gold, surrounded by priceless art, commanding a real estate empire that spans the globe. He oversees a bank worth billions and represents an institution that's as political as it is spiritual. Whether you see this as divine authority or institutional excess, one thing's clear. The Pope isn't just a religious leader. He's the CEO of one of the wealthiest, most powerful organizations in human history. Now let me ask you, should the Vatican sell its treasures to help the poor, or does preserving history and sacred art serve a higher purpose? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this video eye-opening, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and as always, stay curious.